Hello, everybody. My name is Jen Raza, and I am one of the co-founders of Altenew / Yulder. If you're joining us via YouTube, yes, we are still, unfortunately, under the Yulder badge. It is, in fact, Altenew. It is us. And again, I'm not going through the whole thing, but an unfortunate technical error and issues with changing our name back to Altenew is landing us in this predicament. If you're over on Facebook, we're Altenew. So it's a little bit over there. I'm seeing that some of you have already shared. You guys are quick. Tracy, way to go. She also asks who's behind the badge today, and it is Angel. So go ahead and give her a nice hello. I see Amy actually was the very first to share. So Amy, you were even quicker than Miss Tracy. And for those of you just joining us, maybe for the first time, welcome to Altenew, and I will be here every Tuesday and sharing some fun creative challenges. So this is a new weekly series at Altenew. And if you share while we're live, so I'll be live for about an hour. So if you share during that time, you're automatically entered to win a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. And I say it's a great idea to do that because if you have anything that's on your wish list, anything that you maybe wanted to save up for, or something small that might be cheaper than $15, and you happen to share and you happen to win, then you've got whatever you wanted on your crafty wish list. So it doesn't hurt to just go ahead and share. And it also lets your friends know that you are watching us live here at Altenew. So we can share the joy of paper crafting together. Now, since this is a newer series, I will just quickly give you a rundown of how this works. So every week I will be live and I will have a different theme for our challenge. And it's not just challenging for you guys, it's challenging for me too. And the point is to get yourself out of maybe a crafting rut that you may be in, or to stretch yourself outside of your comfort zone, or even just get yourself crafting. Maybe you've been busy and you haven't had a chance to craft and you haven't had that me time that you so desperately want. This is an opportunity to go to your crafting space, whatever that may be. It could be your kitchen table, it could be a craft room, it could be going to your friend's house. Maybe they have a crafting space where you guys can craft together on their dining room table. And you just make something. Now, I would love for you to join us by sharing with the hashtag. So it's hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. And I am okay with you sharing even works in progress because I understand that A, you may not always finish a project. B, you may not have time or inspiration, or you may make a mistake and get discouraged, or somebody interrupts you and you need to tend to them while you're crafting, or you get hungry and you walk away and you get a snack and you start watching a TV show and you don't get back in the craft room. Like, I get it. So this challenge, you don't need to worry about sharing a completed project. Just show us what you're working on and how it was inspired by the prompt. So it does need to be inspired by the prompt. Unfortunately, you will not be in the running to win if you just share something completely unrelated. So make sure you connect it into the prompt. All right, a lot of talking. Let me see what I missed on the comments. Thank you to everybody who's sharing. And yeah, the technology gremlins sure did get us. Thank you, Prairie Paper and Ink / Amy R. You know, it's unfortunate how things like that happen, and you wish it could be easier just changing the name back to what it should be, but unfortunately it is not. Judy is here for the first time, so if you're in the chat, go ahead and say hi to Judy because she hopefully enjoys her time here with us. And I don't know if you're a crafter or if it's your first time to crafting in general, or first time at Altenew, or first time at a live with Altenew, or just the first time at a live with me. So if you want to pop that in and let us know. And Amy said she won and she didn't know it for a couple of weeks. Make sure you watch us. So if you're not watching live, that's fine, but check out the replay to find out if you won so that you can go ahead and get set up with your prize. Tracy couldn't do it. She was working on her AECP. So that's Altenew's education program that you can join, and she's working on that. And oh my gosh, everybody is giving such a warm welcome to Judy. I love seeing that. Support each other. All right, so we're talking about unfinished projects, and last time I said I was going to finish what I was working on, and I did and I didn't. So I finished the coloring. So I was working with the coloring pencils. Colors are looking kind of muted on my screen. It is a little bit more vibrant in real life, but I finished coloring. I just haven't made it a card yet. So this is still one of my works in progress that I'm going to be finishing up at some point. So I was happy that I finished the coloring, but still not a card. So that's what I worked on. And without further ado, let's announce the winner from last time. So it was our color palette challenge. So we had a palette play, and our winner this time, give me an opportunity just to switch over and share my screen. Share the entire screen. Oh, we've got a little infinite look over here. So now we have the winner, and it is Carrie Sheridan .70. So Carrie Sheridan made this beautiful card with such beautiful folding, all these die cuts, beautiful background, and I really liked how we have such a rich look with the color palette. So if you were here last week, the color palette had orange, red, yellow, warm tones, but also a deep, dark, almost navy color, along with like a green, like an olivey kind of green. So I just like the scene, and I like how the giraffes look offset by the different vines and flowers. So Carrie Sheridan .70, go ahead and email winner@altenew.com so we can get you hooked up with your $15 gift certificate. If you played along with our challenge and you didn't get featured this week, no worries. You can still share while we're live. Don't forget to get that opportunity to win a $15 gift certificate, but you can also play along this week. It's a lot of fun, and I've got a brand new challenge for you. So I'm going to keep sharing here and show you this week's challenge. Let me just switch over quickly to the live. All right, yes, I'm still seen. Okay. So we're doing a bingo bash challenge, and I had a card created here. And just like in regular bingo, you can go through a column, a row, or a diagonal, and you're going to have 4 squares, and you need to include those 4 prompts in your project. And let's just quickly go through them. We have washi tape, one of your oldest stamp sets. So that could be a fun one. It might make you go back and grab something that maybe you haven't thought of using recently. We have enamel dots, monochromatic. I love making monochromatic cards. Die. The next one just says die. You can use a singular die, a die set, a background die, cover die. You can use layering dies. Keeping it simple right there with just die. Alcohol markers. So if you have our amazing Altenew artist markers, you can use those or any other alcohol-based marker that you have. Metallic. That could be any metallic element like metallic markers, or you can use a metallic sequin, or you can use metallic paint, or I can't think of anything else. You can use metal. If you have a metal like embellishment, you can use that. Flowers. You guys, this is Altenew. Of course, I have flowers on there. Complementary colors. So those are colors that are opposite one another on the color wheel. So an example would be blue and orange, or red and green, or yellow and purple, or you can kind of do the colors in between. Check out a color wheel if you're unsure, and the ones that are directly opposite one another. Stars, stencil, again, that could be anything, a stencil set, a singular stencil, layering stencils. You can use stencil with paste or ink blending, however you choose. This one's fun, inspired by a movie. So if you choose to do this square and you share your project, tell me what movie it is, or even better, tell me how that movie inspired your project. I would love to see that. The next square at the bottom row is layering. That could be anything layering. So you can have layering dies, layering stencils, layering stamps. You can just layer a bunch of embellishments. You can layer different cardstocks together. There's a lot of ways to interpret that, so just let us know. Sequins, ink blending, and embossing folder. So hopefully there is a row, column, or a diagonal where you can find some inspiration for your project. Now I'm going to stop sharing this in just a moment, but don't worry, you don't need to take a screenshot or anything. The link should be linked up in the description. So just go ahead. It might not be. I'm just realizing it might not be. So if it's not linked up now, it will be linked up. Okay, so it might not be linked up in this exact moment, but we'll get it linked up right after the live. Okay, so Sue says, are you going to put the bingo prompt up in the Altenew fan group? That's a great idea. I can. And being new to Altenew, do the items need to be the Altenew brand? No, they do not. You can use anything that is in your stash. Does not matter what the company is. And Sherilyn says, now I'm officially mature, aka old. If I'm contemplating a form of bingo, sounds fun. Yeah, bingo is known as like an elderly, more wise age thing to do. My mom is 69 and she's 70 now. Oh my gosh, she just turned 70. My mom is 70. And she actually helps host a bingo in the community where she lives. She doesn't live at like a 55 plus community, but she does live in Florida. And I think there are a lot of people who are a little older and they love bingo, but I love bingo. And I've always loved bingo. Even in my 20s, I liked doing bingo. And when I was younger, I would play bingo in school and stuff. So yeah, no, that does not show your age, Sherilyn. Don't worry about it. And Angel says she loves the game, every family reunion. It's fun. All right, so let's get started. You know, we've been talking for a while. Hopefully you guys have the idea how this works. If not, if you're just joining us, then catch us on the replay. But also, I'll probably mention it a few times as we go through. But I want to get crafting. Let's do it. Okay, let me just pop you guys down and I'll show you some of the stuff that I grabbed for my version of today's challenge. And here we go. Let me scoot aside my stamp wheel. Now for mine, I was trying to think of something that would get me out of my comfort zone a little bit. So I thought I would do this column right here: enamel dots, metallic, stencil, and ink blending. Now, that may seem simple to you, but I wanted to use Altenew's metallic watercolor. I haven't used that in so long. It's so beautiful. And my first thought is, how am I going to incorporate stenciling and metallic watercolor? And I think I have an idea, and it's going to step me out of my comfort zone a little bit. I won't say too much because I'll just go ahead and show you as we do it. But that's going to be the plan. So this is my goal here: enamel dots, metallic, stencil, and ink blending. For the stencil, I had a few options I was playing around with. And I landed on one of these. I think I'm going to use the stencil art just because it's more to show with the layers of the stencil. But this is such a fun stencil too. This Good Vibe stencil. This is a much older stencil. I don't even remember when we released it. But what's really fun about this is you can stencil and flip and rotate and create all these really cool backgrounds, or do something like this. And I just loved it. And I'm like, this is a great one. So I'm going to keep this on my desk because I want to use it the next time I craft. So we'll keep that here, but that's not what I'll be using today. Today, I'm going to be going in with this stencil art. Carrie says she loves the metallic watercolors. They are so vibrant. They are. I love them too. And like I said, it's been a very long time since I've used them. So here's my plan. I think I'm going to do my stenciling on our watercolor paper. And then I'm going to just use ink for that. And then I want to go back in and make some of the details metallic by painting over them with the metallic watercolor so that some of the details shine. I haven't done this before. Like, I know it'll work, but I just haven't done it. And like I said, that's how I'm going to stretch my creativity outside of my comfort zone, is by doing something I've never done before. You don't have to do that, by the way. That's not part of the challenge, but that's something that I want to achieve while I work on my project. So here's the layering guide, and you can see how everything layers up. If the layering guide in the packaging is ever too small for you, because I know we're fitting in a lot of details in a very small space, just go ahead to the website and you can download any of our layering guides at full size. Like they zoom in really large, and you can print them out on your own or just look at them on your phone or your computer or your iPad or tablet or something like that. So you can definitely get these larger, but our stencils are all etched so that you can you see it? No, it's always hard to see it. Once I start inking these, you'll see it more because the ink will settle into where the etches are, but I can see them very easily in real life over here. And the etchings will help you line everything up. And there are numbers that correspond to the different areas of the stencil. So it really does make it a lot easier to stencil together. So I'm going to use this beautiful stencil art. And this one is Charming Delight. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. I've got my favorite ink blending tools. You guys know these are my favorite. These are the mini ink blending tools or mini ink blending brushes. So I have those on hand. I will have to trim down this paper, but I'm just going to do it on the full size right now. And then let me get sticky mat. Oh boy. You guys, I'm still working on organizing. So if you hear items falling in the background, it's just because a whole bunch of stuff just fell on the floor. It was in a beautiful pile and now it's on the floor. All right, so I will just place down my paper just like this. It's a little bit harder to grab the textured watercolor paper than it is to grab like a standard piece of cardstock, but it is still stuck on there. It won't come off as I'm ink blending. And I need to pick some ink colors. I didn't think about that ahead of time. You guys know I like to just go for it while I'm live, so we can just pull up some fun, beautiful colors to use. And then I'm going to look for the stencil that has a number 1 in the corner. Okay, so that's right here. And I will place the stencil down, and you'll see that the first thing that I'm going to ink blend is this background. So I'm going, there we go, this background. So I'm going to need a lighter color for that. So let's go in with, maybe, all right, this will be nice. We'll do Pink Pearl, Coral Bliss, Heartbeat, and Berry Mocha. And then I will grab a ink blender that had a light pink on it before. So I do not have a different ink blending brush for every ink color. That's just not my style. Some people do it, whatever works best for you. But I'm just like, hey, this is a light pink. I'm going to use this one. Lana, nice to have you join us. Happy Tuesday to you as well. Okay, now what's great about these sticky mats is it will hold down the ink, so you don't have to hold that ink pad. I'm just going to go in and start blending. I know it's a little hard to see right now. The window's open, and my gosh, we finally have a little bit of sun peeking through on this cloudy day. If I put my hand here, you can see what I've got going on. Now, when you're working on any paper that has texture, like this watercolor paper, and even though this is hot pressed, meaning it's smoother, it's still very absorbent paper, because the point of this paper is to accept water mediums. So it is quite able to absorb a bit of water, because you wouldn't want it to be like a cardstock where you would paint on it and then have it buckle or warp. You know, you want it to withstand all the water from watercolor. So whenever you're working on a paper like that, it is a little bit more challenging to get a really beautiful blend. You can see it's slightly patchy in certain areas. Since these are flowers, I'm okay with that, because in nature, there wouldn't be a solid color anyway. If you really wanted to get a solid look, I would recommend going in with a larger ink blending brush like this. This is the large ink blending tool. And I would do something like that, because you can get more of an even application and more even pressure. But I'm just going and making it a little bit lighter in the center here because I know I'm going to be adding more color in the center of the flowers. So I'm leaving those areas just a little bit white. Okay, layer 1 done. Altenew is responding to Diane. If you purchase a stamp wheel, there's a sticky mat included. Yes, but you can also buy the sticky mat on its own. All right, I'm going to use the same one for Coral Bliss, the same ink blending brush, and then I'll just grab another one for the deeper colors. Oh, that reflection is really bothering me. I should close the blinds, but I think it'll be okay once it gets a little bit darker here. If not, I'll go over and close it. All right, so for Coral Bliss, I'm going to line everything up. Now, I told you guys that there were etchings that I can see. I know you can't see them, but I can see them quite easily. And that lets me know that I am properly aligned, just like this. Perfect. And press that down. You can see how it sticks really nicely to that background. I think I am going to close the blinds. Hold on. Sorry about that, everybody. And there we go. I think that's better. Okay. Open up our Coral Bliss. Geraldine is hoarding her watercolor paper pack. I understand hoarding for sure. I think a lot of us probably do. And as I add the colors, you're going to see more and more detail start to come through. Lana says, having a cat makes me keep the acetate on the bottom, but it moves. Yeah, so I just have it on its own without the acetate, but I can see if you got cat hair on it, that would be annoying. We are a pet-free home over here, so we don't have to worry about that. Now I can peek and see how it looks, if there's any areas I want to make darker, but I think that looks beautiful. Now to clean my stencil, I'm just going to go over it quickly with a damp chamois cloth. And that's what I use to clean my stamps. I do typically just use this to clean my stencils. I'm not a high maintenance crafter. You guys know that by now if you've seen me before. However, when the stencils get real gross, yeah, I will properly clean them with some mild soap and water in the sink. All right, so we'll set this aside. This is stencil 1. I'm not going to need that anymore. I'm also going to pop my ink blender and grab another one. Got a fresh new one here. And I will go into the heartbeat and then find the stencil that has a number 2 in the corner. Right there, you can see that. Number 2. And I'm not looking at the layering guide, but if you needed to, you could always pull that over. Now I'm going to go to layer A3. So I did layer A1, then A2. Here is A3. And line up the etchings with that first part that we blended. Oops, scoot it over a little bit. I'll let the sticky mat just hold my stencil in place. And now I can use that ink. All right, so those of you just joining us, hi, my name is Jen Raza, and we are crafting with a bingo challenge today. This is our bingo bash. And one of the prompts that I'm following is ink blending. So we are getting that ink blending done right here. And just like that, we've got that layer done. You can see how pretty it is coming out. The image is just building with every layer. And then let's get some berry mocha. And we've got layer A4. Lining up my etching. And then adding the color. This is going to be really dark, but it's only for the deepest detailed areas. So it's going to add a lot more depth. And, don't call me. Who's calling me? An unknown number. I am not picking you up. If it was my mom, maybe I'd pick it up. But not an unknown call. Now, if you are inspired to play along with the Bingo Bash Challenge and you would like to be considered for the prize, please create and share with our hashtag, which is hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. And you can see how that deep berry mocha just is helping this pop. Okay, so let's clean off once again, just by wiping with that same cloth. If your inks ever stain your stencil, don't worry, that's just proof of a well-loved stencil. It will not affect how it functions. If it's really dark, it could potentially affect your ability to see through the stencil, but it would have to be really dark, permanent ink in order to do that. Okay, we're all cleaned up here, and now we have layers A5, A6, A7, and A8, and these are just going to create the centers of our flowers. And centers should be, let's go with some yellow tones. Or, ooh, no, we'll save that. Okay. So I'll go with buttercream, warm sunshine, caramel toffee, and paper bag. So warm yellows and browns. Yes, Sharon, the colors are beautiful together. I agree. All right, I will get a blending brush that's been used for light yellow and place this down. Just be careful that you don't accidentally blend ink on the next part of the stencil. If you're worried about it, you could take a piece of washi tape or our satin masking tape, which is this, and place it over so that you don't get too excited with your blending and get into an area that you don't want to be blended. But since I'm using the mini ink blending brush, I feel like I can keep it controlled and in this area. Just like that. That's all we needed. Okay, we'll scoot it over for the next one. Again, it keeps everything easily aligned with those etchings. And I'll go into warm sunshine. Then layer A7. Oh my gosh, I did not dry off my stencil and I have some yucky areas. All right, the leaves are going to go there anyway, so we're cool. Okay, let me wipe it off now, though, with a paper towel. Just so that this doesn't happen again. Okay. I'm going to grab another ink blending brush. Go to A7 right here. Grab the next ink. So this is caramel toffee. Okay, I'm going to grab this one. Sue already has this stencil. That's great. Okay, just like that. And one more layer is A8. And for that, we've got paper bag. Tracy asks, did you design the stencil? I did, Tracy. Thank you for asking. This was, I believe, one of our earlier stencil arts that we have released. Okay, so that leaves the flowers complete. And now we can move on to the other elements of the stencil. And as we do this, I'm keeping in mind, I need to incorporate my other elements before I call my card done. So let me bring up that image for you one more time. So look, stencil and ink blending, check, check. I will still need to do metallic, which is why I have my metallic watercolor. And as I'm working, I'm still brainstorming on that front. And then enamel dots, which I have a whole bunch of enamel dots underneath my desk because I don't know where else to store them because I'm still working on organizing the craft room. I cannot wait for the day that I get to tell you guys the craft room is organized and then I could show it to you and be proud of it. I am definitely not proud of its current state at the moment. All right, putting the ink away. And by the way, I store my inks in a drawer with the lightest color on top. So when I open up the drawer, you just see the top of each color. family, and then I can pull out that color family. I can put these away as well. And now let's go to the next stencil. I will find the stencil that is number 3. And stencil number 3 starts all of our greenery. Okay, so let's line this up. There we go. Place it down. And I will start with aloe vera. And again, if you consult the layering guide, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 areas for the leaves. And then we also have some berries, but I'm not going to do the berries yet. I'm still thinking about that. Maybe that's going to be where I do my metallic watercoloring. I just don't know. Sue, I'm not designing all of the stencil art sets. I think the stencil arts have all been me and Tasneem, though. I don't think our other designers, we do have a few other designers who do products. I don't think they've done stencil art. So any of the stencil art sets you have gotten have probably been me and Tasneem. This is so pretty. I love how it's coming together. I'm looking and I'm noticing that the area where I got some stray watery, like muddy water, is not getting covered up by the leaves. So we can troubleshoot what to do there. So one option is that's where I could put some enamel dots. Hey, that works. Option number 2 is we can cut this out, like this whole arrangement, and we can mount it onto a card base. We can take a craft knife and we can scratch away at that top layer, and that will remove it. So yeah, right here, I don't know if you could see that. Again, there's still a little bit of shine. That's where I had a little faux pas right there. So we can think about how to correct that. I love this color. Oh my gosh, so pretty. That's the aloe vera. And while I'm doing this, I'm curious if any of you guys have ideas of what bingo lines you're going to do. So, oh, you can't see that. If it's not linked, take a screenshot quickly now. Oh, you can't even read it. Washi tape, oldest stamp sets, enamel dots, monochromatic, dye, alcohol markers, metallic, flowers, complementary colors, stars, stencil, inspired by a movie, layering, sequins, ink blending, embossing folder. If it's not linked in the description now, it will be linked in the description right after I sign off and have an opportunity to upload it. So apologies if it's not there right now. But I'm curious which of those are speaking to you. And I hope you play along, because the crafters that have been playing along have been knocking it out of the park. Everything is so good. And guys, it is so hard to choose who to feature, because I think that everyone deserves to get featured. I really do. Maybe that's the elementary school teacher in me. And I'm definitely not a person that believes everyone deserves a prize or everyone deserves a trophy or whatever that is. No, I definitely think skill has its place in a lot of competitions and things like that. But for this type of challenge, yeah, everybody deserves to get featured. If you want to see the beautiful things that others have created, please go to that hashtag. Again, it's hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. And please look at what the others have made, because it is good and everybody deserves some love. Please leave a comment on the projects, support each other. But yeah, if this was a traditional contest or challenge, yeah, I think the ones that are most polished maybe, or that satisfy the challenge the best, should win. But for our challenges, it's so hard to pick, you guys. Geraldine says, maybe roll through the submissions in a quick flash reel like mail art. That's not a bad idea if I could figure that out. Tracy, thank you for sharing. Shared on, oh wait, you shared on your IG feed, LOL. Not sure what you mean there. Maybe I missed an earlier comment. Mary says, yeah, put a sentiment over the oopsie. That's a great idea. Don't forget, I still need to trim this down because this is 5x7 and I am going to trim this so it could fit on an A2 card. So I could also just trim it off, right? Like I can have this bottom part coming off the card, right? It doesn't need to be fully at the bottom. Maybe trimming it off is going to be the best bet. Still thinking. All right, I'm going to go into stencil 5. And we're adding some more deeper ink. Just like this. And we have swamp green. That's lovely, swamp green. And a darker mini ink blending brush. Oh, it's so pretty. I know I say that every time I add a color, but just the intensity and depth that you get from adding these darker colors just really gets me excited every time. And as I'm doing this, I think I'm going to go back and use this swamp green on these branches because they're looking a little bit light and kind of disappearing. So that's going back to stencil number 3. I'm just going to line that up and go over that because I really want them to stand out just a little bit more. So the darker green will certainly do that for me. Okay, done. And now we're going into our final stencil. This is stencil number 6. Oh my gosh, I already had that darker one there for stencil number 6. You guys, this is what happens when you design something and you don't use it for many months. Okay, so I'd already considered that. No worries, I don't have to go over it again. I'm going to use the oak moss. And then we have to think about what colors to use for the berries. Ooh, pretty. You don't need a lot of ink. It's just very small little details here. And I may even just darken up that very bottom base right there, just to add a little bit more variety. Boom. Ah, it's coming out so good. Guys, stenciling is so easy. If you haven't used our layering stencils, please try them. They really take the guesswork out. You don't have to work hard to get just such a stunning, beautiful result. I really love how easy they are. Okay, now I haven't cleaned these off yet because I didn't want to do the same thing as before. I'm worried if I clean them with the wet rag right now, potentially some dirty water is going to seep underneath and I'm going to get the same issue. So I'll clean it after I do the berry layers. So this is the C and D layers. So we have C1 and D1. And what you're going to need to do is line it up so that they are both, there we go. Oh, this one doesn't line up. Okay, so you do it in 2 separate phases. That's right, because I could not fit it on one stencil if I had it aligned so that they were both there. So you do one, then the other. I'm going to use, maybe blue or purple. Is blue too weird? Like, that's too weird. I'll do orange. Okay. Maybe we'll go with Sunkissed, Orange Cream, Autumn Blaze, and Fire Brick. And we'll get a nice fresh one. Fresh ink blending brush. This is again the minis. Can't stop talking about them. And this will come together really quickly. Just doing one at a time here, but it's such a small area. Okay, we can clean that in a minute. Go now to stencil 4, do the next layer. This will be orange cream. Okay. It's such a small little detail here, but I think it just adds so much. Having the layering and those little, I'm saying berries, they could be like little tiny flowers, kind of like a baby's breath. Just like this. Set this one aside. And then last but not least, we have our C3 and D3 layers. Trying not to get ink all over my fingers because, you know, that's a disaster waiting to happen. And I shall use Autumn Blaze and another ink blending tool. And then we get to do some painting. We'll figure this out. Figure it out as a team. Yeah, let's really get that in there. Okay. Love it. Beautiful. All right, I'll clean those later, I promise. I'm saying it live, so I have to do it. They will get cleaned. Because you know me, if I don't do it. Oh, and I capped the wrong one. Okay, orange cream gets this cap. Autumn Blaze gets this cap. Okay, we are playing bingo with Jen. Absolutely. So if you missed the bingo card, it will be linked up soon in the comments. I mean, not in the comments, but it can go in the comments too. In the description, if it is not there already. And you can also go back on the playback. I showed it with a screen share, and you can do a screenshot of that if you'd like. Now we get to think about metallic. So let's look at the beautiful Altenew metallic watercolor paints. Oh my gosh, I love it. I'll scoot this over. Watercolor edges after you cut. Christy, that's a great idea. Do I want to do that? So I'll tell you my original plan. My original plan was to pick one of the colors and go over it in a coordinating watercolor shade. So, you know, going over one of the red areas in one of these reds, or going over part of the greens of the leaves with some of the greens. Do I want to do that? Maybe I'll do it. You know, this is for experimentation. The worst that could happen is I ruin, again, air quotes, anytime. It's not true. I could ruin this panel by doing something wrong. But there's always a way to fix things. Again, we have to add enamel dots anyway. Enamel dots can go over mistakes. If I was really worried about it and not live, I would ink blend on another piece of watercolor paper and I would test it out first. However, let's just do it. Let's just see what happens. I have our mister here. This is the fine mister. I just have some water in here. And let's see. I think I will go right here for that green. Apologies for not remembering the color off the top of my head, but it's that deep green color. I also like the silvery white up here. And what this does spraying the water in is it just starts to activate the watercolor pigments. The metallic watercolor does take more work to activate than a standard watercolor paint. Most watercolor paints, when you add water, they are immediately ready to use. For these, I believe it has to do with the mica that is in the pigment. It just takes a little bit more effort to work into it. So yeah, Andrea says no mistakes in art. Absolutely. Art is never wrong, says Marcy. Maybe dropping an ink pad would ruin it. If you've ever saved anything that you dropped an ink pad on, please let me know, because I haven't quite saved projects like that before. We've all dropped ink pads. I don't know if I've ever saved one where like the ink pad went directly on it and you could see like the outline and of where all the ink is. I don't know if that's savable. You might be right there. But if any of you have saved it, please let us know because I would love to be able to do that. All right, I'm going to grab some of our brushes. These are just the fine watercolor brushes. I don't think I need these itty bitty baby ones, but I will take, let's see, this is size 2. All right, I also have some water just in a container here. I have some paper towels. And let's go into the green and see what we can do. So as I like mix around here, you can see the like metallic mica pigments kind of swirling around, and it is getting loaded up into my brush. Okay. Since this is plastic, it is going to bead up. It won't bead up on the watercolor paper. Pollard NX, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, says for the bingo, they are going to do a dye, alcohol markers, metallic, and flowers. Oh, I can't wait to see it. Please share it. Please, please, pretty please. Okay, now this is a slightly different tone of green. These greens are yellower, and the one I have is more blue. I'm not worried about it. It's not an issue to me. Okay. Oh my gosh. We started and I got a big blob. I was not looking at how much I had on my brush, but that's okay. All right, so I'm just kind of picking different areas to color in from the stencil. I will pick this up in a second and show it to you because I think the green on green is not quite showing up as well through the camera, but when I kind of flash it into the light, you'll be able to see that metallic quality of it. We'll bring this down. It looks really cool, actually. Okay, just right there. All right, now let me get some more and go into another area, doing the same thing, just isolating different sections and painting them in. And yeah, this looks really cool. It's better than I imagined. Let's do this section. And there's no rhyme or reason. At first, I was going to do all of the same color. Like, let's say it was all one green, like the second layer of my stencil. I'm not doing that. I'm just picking out different sections that I think might look good brought out with the metallic. And then we'll do the same thing to the flowers and see how that looks. Telling you, I am out of my comfort zone and I love it. Okay, let me take this off here. I'm actually going to move aside my sticky mat as well. I don't need it for this. Can we get the metallic to show up? All right, right there. Can you see it? It kind of looks, it's almost like duochrome. It looks bluer here, and then it looks yellowier here. You can see the same thing over in this area where that metallic is getting picked up by the light. It looks beautiful. Teresa says the worst is dropping a box of ink pads before I get to label the bottom. Yeah, that also is frustrating. Okay, so let me just grab a little bit of more water, but this is like the first time I'm dipping into my container of water, because before I was just using what was in here that we sprayed from the fine mister. I also love how opaque you can get this metallic paint, because watercolor is usually very transparent, and you can add more water and make a more transparent look here. But if you use it at full strength, it's fairly opaque, and it's just a really beautiful, like solid metallic feature. I wish you guys could see how pretty this was, because as I'm looking in the camera, it's definitely not picking it up the same as in person. All right, as I'm doing this, let me just give some updates. If our friend Carrie Sheridan .70 is just joining us, you won. Congratulations. You shared your project this past week, and I thought it was really cool, as were all of the entries. And I selected it for our feature, and you won a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. So please make sure that you claim your prize by emailing winner@altenew.com and letting them know that you won on the palette play challenge. So that was the one with the color palette. And this week's challenge is Bingo Bash, and you'll be able to choose any of the rows, columns, or the diagonal that you'd like for the Bingo Bash challenge and create a project using those prompts or those elements. It doesn't have to be a card. So far, I think everybody that's played along has submitted a card, but if you would want to create something else, maybe an art piece or a scrapbook layout, feel free to do that instead. Whatever you are inspired to create. It doesn't even have to be paper crafting. Like if you're using these elements on some other project and you can fit them in and you're inspired by it, please submit that too. It'd be really cool to see something that maybe wasn't a paper crafted project, especially if you used paper crafting supplies, like again, enamel dots or something that would be traditionally used in a paper crafting setting. Oh, I love that. It looks so cool. Again, especially how it's picking up two colors, because it's kind of picking up that yellowish green underneath. But since I'm placing on a more bluer toned green, that's coming through as well. I really love it. Don't you just love when your experiments work? And not only they work, but they exceed your expectations. Okay, I'm just dipping in a little bit more water. Things are drying up a little bit. Martha says, oh no, I put too much water to activate my color. How do I fix it? I would just let it dry. You can also take a bit of paper towel and just dip the corner in, and it will absorb some more if you want to like speed the process along a little bit. And then that'll make it better. Because yeah, for this particular thing I'm doing right now, I do want it to be like full strength. Again, not too transparent. Okay, so I think I'm happy with all of the green areas. So it's like kind of blue that way, kind of yellowy green that way. And let's move on to the reds and pinks. I probably should have activated those a second ago because all I did before was the white. Let me do some of the white anyway, and then I'll see how that looks on my flowers. But I'll also go ahead and spray into the pinkish red and the orange and some gold right there. Okay, so since I just activated those, I'll let them sit with the water and go into this pearly silver and pick up that color, again, moving it around, and it helps activate and grab that metallic pigment. If you feel like you may have too much, you can also dab onto a paper towel. And I'm going to start painting in different areas. Oh, I'm happy with this. Okay. I actually don't think I'm going to use the red. I think the pearly silver is just perfect. I'll hold it up in a minute just so you can see, because again, it looks like it's invisible through the camera. And since this is a lighter color, it is allowing more of the pink ink to show through. I'm just going to come around here. This would be fun to paint over a layered stamp image too, just using the same technique of just randomly selecting different sections to paint over. I'm going to turn this around just so I don't put my hand in that green that might still be drying. And I just love this metallic watercolor. I'm going to leave this out so that I can remember to use it on another project. Can you guys tell how I end up with a messy craft room? That's my answer, is I'm just going to leave it out so I remember to use it. Oops, sorry, I bumped the camera with my head. All right, looking at the time, it is 3:56. You guys, I'm going to have to start wrapping this up. All right, I'll do this one more section, then I'll show you what we've got going so far. Then I think I'll trim down the panel. I'll finish painting during the week, but can you see? There it is. So this is where I painted all that area that's kind of looking white right now. It's just looking white because of the whitish pearly color here. And then when I look at it straight on, it looks more pink because it's picking up the pink that's beneath it. So pink, white, pink, white. You could see all of the other colors. It looks really nice. Okay, I love how this is coming out. We'll set this aside for pause. I'm going to have to add some enamel dots before I send you guys on your merry way. And then next week, I will show you this completed card and hopefully this completed card. The reason why I didn't finish this, I have a great excuse, is my brother and niece were visiting from Florida. So I was in Florida in January, and then they came from Florida to visit me. I'm going to trim this down, starting with the part that I want to remove, the oopsie that's down there. And yeah, probably like this. And then I'll trim the rest of the panel around it. So let me bring out my huge paper trimmer. Hopefully I won't make too much of a mess because yes, this is still wet in certain areas, but I don't want to stop the live without fixing that mistake. It's not fixed yet. There's still a little bit. Let's trim a little bit more of that. Okay, now it's fixed. Love that. And since it's a vertical A2 card, I'm going to trim that to 5.5. So I'm just lining it up with the 5.5 there. And then we're going to trim down to 4.25. And since this is running off of the edge here, I am going to do the same on this side, and I will have it going off the edge. Because if I trimmed off this side, I don't think it's as pleasing. Well, actually, it does look good too. Hold on. Now I don't know. How long does it take you guys to trim a panel? 5 minutes? 10 minutes? It's not how long it's taking me. You know what? Let's just trim a little bit from both sides because I can't decide. So the goal is 4.25 here. So trim that down. Trim some of this down. I'll take off a little bit more on this side. Let's bring this down to 4.25. Okay. So now we have ink blending. We have metallic. We have stencil. Now we need enamel dots. And it's already 3:59. Maybe these. Maybe these. Let's get some more out. Maybe these. Okay. Sandra says, take a little off both sides. Yes, that is what I did. Great minds think alike. Yeah, I like this color, actually. All right, so my homework is to finish this painting, add a sentiment, probably up here because I'm boring like that. If you're really cool, you'd put it here, but I'm just going to put it in a predictable spot. Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. This one's good too. All right, I'll put a couple here. So I never know what to do with enamel dots, you guys. I think the fact that I have 2 enamel dot projects so far with these lives, because now this looks so random. Do I want to put the enamel dots on? Does that make sense? On those little flowers? Oh, I don't know. Okay, this is also my homework. I need to add the enamel dots because I can't make those choices right now. Okay, so here's my bingo. Enamel dots, stencil, metallic, ink blending. And it shall be completed, hopefully, by next time, so you guys can see this. Let me flip you over to my face so I can give you a proper goodbye. If you haven't shared yet, please share now, because once I turn off the live, you won't be able to enter anymore for that chance to win a $15 gift certificate. But if you don't, please join the challenge so you have a chance right over there. Okay, so I know I talked so much. Can you see the metallic better here? Maybe. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's picking it up. So it just adds a really fun detail to the ink blending that we did. And I will finish this up. And I would love to see your projects. So please get the bingo card that will be linked up in the description, hopefully not too long after we go live here. Again, maybe it's already there, but I don't think I put it there, so it might not be there. Or you can check out the replay, which will be up right after I stop being live. It'll upload to the two platforms, Facebook and YouTube, and you can watch it there where I did do the screen share and showed those bingo prompts. And then if you want to play with us, join by making sure you tag your project, hashtag Altenew Challenge Live, so that I can watch it. And I will be back next week with another fun challenge. Sorry to any comments I may have missed. I know that I was really busy and didn't have too much time to check out everything that you guys were saying, but I will go back and read the comments as I always do. And I hope that all of you guys have an amazing and crafty day. Bye-bye.